My commentary on the Candace Owens vs. Allie Beth Stuckley public dispute. By Danzel Monk Sr. As a Christian looking in on what I have come to call the Get Candace Owens campaign, by content creators in social media, many of whom are professing Christians, I have been compelled to examine the methods or approaches these Christians have chosen to use when addressing what they feel Candace Owens is saying and doing. To date I have published 3 video responses to Christians who have publicly taken Candace to task about her content, and it is my hope that those I have responded to, will reply to my concerns about their approach to Candace as Christians. My concern is that there seems to be a serious lack of concern on the part of Christians who are addressing Candace, to be honest, accurate, and fair in the manner in which they describe her and what she says and does. Please understand me, I am not saying that Candace has no faults or issues, indeed she does, and when they are addressed and exposed I thank God for that. My issue is when Christians misrepresent Candace while claiming to be exposing her. This is my concern, and I would be happy to receive any correction on my observations. While I wait, I now turn my attention to yet another Christian who has joined the Get Candace Owens campaign. This time a former friend of Candace Owens, her name is Allie Beth Stuckley, of the Relatable podcast. She is a well-respected Christian commentator, and she has decided to publicly express her disagreement with and concerns about Candace Owens. This is my response to the video by Allie Beth Stuckley titled, Just Asking Questions, a Response to Candace Owens and a Biblical Approach to Investigation episode 1266. I found this video very difficult to get through. Not just because it contains inaccuracies, inconsistencies, and dishonesties, but because Allie goes about making her point in a manner that does not fulfill what she states she will be doing. And also, because I happen to like Allie, having watched many of her videos and enjoyed them. Starting at the 9:06 point she announces she is going to address what it means to investigate, what is truth-seeking, and what is the significance of our words. And, she said that she is going to do this from a biblical perspective. Additionally, she says she is going to discuss this in light of the investigation into Charlie Kirk's death that Candace Owens has been doing. I found this statement to be most interesting of all of the many attack videos that I have seen by Christians against Candace. This is the only one that I have seen that states that her goal is to examine what Candace said in light of proper investigation. She pointed out the 2 primary sides of the Candace Owens Charlie Kirk investigation, those on Candace's side and why, and those who are against her and why. She explains why she is now weighing in on Candace's comments. She said she did not have an incentive to do so, that there is more reason not to respond to Candace because she is known not to take such comments kindly, and is known to retaliate with 10 times the force that you approached her. And it may involve character assassination, and her army of loyal followers who amplify messages on social media. So people don't want to disagree with her publicly or push back against her at all. She has massive power with the #1 podcast in the world. But Allie is misleading when she says people do not want to push back on Candace because she has such a big audience and her supporters are faithful protectors. Her statement gives the impression that no one has. But any minor search on YouTube would dispel that claim instantly. I have found far more anti-Candace videos on YouTube than positive videos, and I think it is mainly because so many are seeking to build their channels on using her name for clicks and views, and out of hate, dislike, or disdain for Candace, because of her move from Christianity to Catholicism, and because of her harsh stand against Israel and for Palestinians among other things, including the very likely possibility that many are being paid to attack her. Allie says she is responding to Candace because Candace called her out, and not because she had any incentive to do so. But isn't that an incentive? She also says that she is doing so because she feels a responsibility to give her viewers that God has given to her, clarity and courage, and to help them to think logically and biblically about the things that matter to them. She said her inbox was filled with questions about Candace comments on her show. She then admits that Candace's publicly calling her out was due to Allie going on her Instagram to comment indirectly on Candace's claim that Turning Point does not set up hasty events, but takes months to set them up, and since the event that Charlie was killed at was put together in very short time, it seemed suspicious and therefore possibly nefarious. Allie says that in her Instagram and X accounts, she gave counter-examples of how Charlie had invited her at the end of August, to speak on November 3rd, of this year, 2025, saying it was about 2 months in advance, yet admitting that he could not yet confirm the venue because it wasn't confirmed. She said that was just about 8 weeks before. But this does not actually refute Candace's claim, since Allie admits the event's venue had not yet been confirmed. So she then adds, without providing evidence, that she had done TPUSA stops in the past with and without Charlie, and they were often put together last minute. My question is, what does she mean by last minute, her invite, or the entire event conformation? Candace was talking about the entire event, and not last-minute invites to an event that did not have a confirmed location. There seems to be a sloppy analysis going on from Stuckley'S side, and if so, the question is why. This is her X post in which she claims to be proving Candace wrong about the time frame of TPUSA events scheduling. But the bigger issue is why Allie felt the need to attempt to challenge Candace's statement in the first place. Candace had not mentioned her by name. There seems to have been a desire on the part of Allie, to project herself into the conversation, for whatever reason. Allie then says that she posted an Instagram message, urging us to think for ourselves, ask questions of the question askers, clearly referring to Candace, and that she did not use Candace's name and did not attack her. But Allie said that Candace responded back to her by name. Allie said she reached out to Candace and Candace told her she was not happy, but Allie strangely gave no details. Allie then said she told Candace that she was happy to have a longer off-the-record discussion in confidentiality, but Candace did not respond. She said she was not going to say anything else about it, but since Candace called her out on her show, she now feels obligated to respond. Allie then played the video of Candace playing her Instagram comments and then responding to it, which Allie said led to her current reply. Note, I think that if Allie was going to address this, she should have included all of the key clips and in order. The original Candace comment about the TPUSA time frame for events, her Instagram reply, an X message, and Stuckley'S Instagram message that Candace is replying to, and her reply. That would be a full disclosure and we could judge. But that is not what she did here from what Allie said so far, before playing the Candace reply. Allie also does not own up to the attitude and the forcefulness with which she delivered her Instagram message that Candace responded to. Instead, she pretends that she said nothing that merits the reply that Candace gave by questioning her concern about Charlie's murder, and acting offended when Candace made good points about Stuckley'S comments and what she did not say or address. Allie was indeed cocky and forceful in her Instagram message, though right about the viewer's obligations to think and not let others think for them. She was also right about our words affecting real people's lives now and in eternity. But she said nothing about the other side's words or lack thereof, that also affects real people's lives. Lives of people who are devastated by lies from media, government, Christians spreading false accusations, etc. Why is Allie so one-sided, is my question. After her rant, she backpedals by saying she does not want the drama or have the time or energy to go through and debunk all of the claims, apparently of Candace. Then why did she stick her 2 cents in at all? You see the problem. She wants to stick her comments in, no doubt to appease her followers who were nagging her to do so, but she does not want to see the dialogue through. Then don't let your followers push you into it. Explain to them why you choose not to address it, and let them do their own investigation and comments. You can't have it both ways. After Candace played Stuckley'S Instagram comments, she replied. Candace said it was Charlie's real life that Allie seems to be missing because she is so concerned about the people who are lying about Charlie and about what happened. As if their inconsistencies and false statements and poor actions are somehow off limits to acknowledge and discuss. Candace said that her investigation was not done randomly for no reason, this was a carefully focused investigation and addressed what these people did and said. Why are they off limits is my question. Candace said, Charlie's not here anymore and so maybe you are not worried about him but I am. Candace did not say that Allie was not concerned about Charlie's murder, but that maybe she was not. Note Stuckley's first words after the Candace clip is, so I am not apparently according to her, worried about Charlie Kirk, my friend too. Allie then uses that magic word that so many who are attacking Candace fall back on, implication. It was not an implication, it was a statement that included the word maybe. Why doesn't maybe have any meaning? She based her comment on Stuckley's ignoring the other side of this issue, and only focusing on Candace and her followers. That is not balanced. By not addressing the inconsistencies and lies, the fabrications and smears from the other side, you give the impression that maybe you are not concerned or as concerned as you should be about getting at the truth about his murder. That was her point, and I think it has merit. That is not to say that Stuckley defiantly does not care, but it is addressing what Stuckley had said and done that opens the question of if, or how much she cared about getting to the truth about what happened to him and who all were involved. Rather than address her reasons for her statement, Allie just says that that is just how Candace is, and that's what Candace does, and it makes Allie sad. Well, I'm sorry my sister, I love you and I appreciate much of your work, but you are clearly slipping here. Either you are going to be fully biblical or you should stop claiming to be making an effort to do so. You cannot talk about the importance and indeed necessity of thinking critically for ourselves, and then insist that we shift from intelligent critical thinking, to emotional reactions to comments that challenges your statements. Which will it be, intelligent critical thinking and accountability, or selective emotionalism when we are challenged about our own comments and conduct? You can't have it both ways and be taken seriously. For the record, I do not agree with everything that Candace does, or says, but I will not fault her where she is not guilty, just because I strongly disagree with her in areas that she is clearly wrong. In fact, with all she says and does that is wrong, I am amazed by how little is said about them, in favor of attacking her where she is not guilty, or less guilty. Why is that? You say that Candace has secret sources that you don't have, and so you can't compete with that, and yet you apparently do not believe she actually has them, or else you would not be addressing her comments as conspiracies and unhealthy claims that damage people. If indeed she has inside information from people at TPUSA and the government, which is indeed possible, why not just admit that you are not cool with her not betraying them to set your convictions about her at ease? You don't seem to be willing to acknowledge that such sources, if they exist, need to be confidential if they are going to continue to provide her with information. That is not unreasonable. Now the Charlie visiting her in a dream, that is something you can nail her on, and yet you punk out on that easy target. Why? Something is not adding up her with you on this, Allie. Allie then proceeds to explain what is true biblical seeking truth in an investigation and what is not. She uses Acts chapter 17 verses 11 to 13. She contrasts the Jews of Thessalonica who rejected the truth, with emotionalism and outrage, with the Berea Jews who accepted the truth as reasonable and non-emotional and no outrage. Also that the Bereans did not just accept what Paul and Silas said but searched the scripture to see if it was so. She talked about the meaning of discerning, as sifting the truth from what is not true, and she applied it to those who are questioning the questioners and being objected to by their supporters. But nothing in that text condemns what Candace and her reasonable followers and others are doing in their investigating Charlie's murder. She referenced Ephesians 5 verses 6 to 10 and points out that Satan uses truth with lies. 2 Corinthians 11 verse 14. He disguises himself as an angel of light, and so discerning is not about asking questions or saying what is right and wrong, true or false, but about weighing everything we hear from anyone against what is biblically true. But what Candace is investigating is not biblical truth, it is a murder. Why is Allie not making the connection and explaining how what she has done or said violates the Bible? She says, is there a way to think about this critically? Can we weigh what is being said against the truth? But my question is, how can we, if we are trying to get at the truth? You can't weigh against a truth that you don't yet have. She said that we must be thinking about, is there evidence, no hunch, no theory, not, I know but I don't know. Not, this looks fishy, this doesn't feel right, but is there evidence, a clear stab at Candace. She said, gut feelings are fine and okay but not evidence. But Candace never said they were evidence. Why does she not clarify that? Is that not implying or insinuating that Candace is claiming that her feelings are evidence? She said Candace was seeing bits of pieces laid out by innuendo. She gave the example of the true things said about Charlie at the Hamptons and Charlie's shifting views about Israel, and pressure from Jewish donors, but said it does not prove they are connected, or connected to Charlie's murder. But she left out a number of other issues, and I am asking why. While she is trying to teach on being a biblical investigator and a critical thinker, she fails on both counts by leaving out key information and not being a critical thinker. She basically trivialized what she referenced, and did not include other details that were talked about by Candace. The claimed heated arguments at the Hampton meeting, that was being denied by the people Candace pointed out who were not honest about other things. And Candace noted Bibi's quick public claim and misrepresenting of the Charlie letter, the issues of 12 people with Israel phones at the event, and the planes, and the Google searches of names of people involved and hospitals before the murder, the intentional lapse security, the lies about the blood and walking away of the chief of staff at the point of the shot, the shooter photo discrepancies, the claims of another shooter in all-black military-style outfit, the issue with the gun and its capabilities and the stopping by the bone, etc. Asking questions are not being claimed as evidence, so why is Allie insisting that Candace has to have hard evidence when that is the purpose of the investigation, to uncover hard evidence? I am concerned that Allie is rejecting and or ignoring the information so far uncovered, that detracts from what has been claimed as evidence of the killer, when there is none, and there has been no evidence provided that proves they have the killer, or that the killer acted alone. And Candace is not the only person pointing out reasonable objections to what is being claimed by the feds. Allie says that the question that must also be addressed is who is the source giving the information. That is a good reason for people to hesitate before jumping onto any narrative put forth. But Candace has been correct about things in the past, she has not been totally off her rocker wrong, but was very often correct. Also, again, she is not the only person. Many intelligent and knowledgeable people are and have been weighing in on this case, and yet Allie acts like only kooks are sounding the alarm. Why is that? Candace is not getting traction because she is talking crazy, stupid, or illogical, she is having an influence because she is making sense. Allie says we must also ask, is there another possible explanation? No one said that was not possible, but my issue is why are you insisting there is no possibility that she is on the right track? Why are you so determined to accuse her of being wrong and hurting people and the case, yet you are so willing to point to other possibilities? I have not seen you or anyone against her, doing a deep dive on why nothing she said can be true or reasonable. Why? Instead, you call what Candace is doing salacious, innuendo-driven drip campaign. Allie then harps on what true investigation is, saying it is done first, and then the evidence is presented. But Candace is doing her own investigation along with many of us who are not satisfied with the lies, misdirection, and dishonesty we are seeing from the feds, TPUSA and the media. So why is Stuckley and others so determined to discredit us for doing our own investigation and seeking to get to the truth? What law is there against that? What biblical law are we violating by doing so? Doesn't Allie know that mistakes and intentional misdirection and lies are told in official investigations, so why is she making an issue about the public investigation making mistakes? I am not clear as to what biblical principle of investigation she is claiming Candace is violating. Why is addressing murder plots in the moment wrong, when the public is being misled and fed unreliable information by the feds? It is clear that many on the left not only called for the murder of Charlie, and rejoiced in it. They tried to kill Trump, and you see how much of that was covered up. I am concerned that Allie seems to be more interested in protecting and defending the narrative of the killer suspect than she is in finding out if indeed it was him or if others were involved and why. Why does she seem to be uninterested in the inconsistencies and the direction that TPUSA is going in, and things their top brass are involved in and saying and doing? Notice that all of her energy is in discrediting Candace under the apparent guise of critical thinking and biblical investigation. She says that creating content is not truth-seeking. Why not? There is plenty of content that expose truth, so I am not clear as to why she thinks this is a true statement. Allie references Matthew 12:36, and I am grateful she did, because while she claims that she wants to remember this for herself, she does not seem to be applying it in her comments about Candace or her video presentation. It is as if in this case, it does not apply to her or concern her. She should realize that even what she is saying here she is going to be held accountable for. Being one-sided, while claiming to be addressing biblical investigation and truth-seeking rules, and yet violating biblical rules in her presentation, false accusations, misrepresentation, misapplication, trivialization of important information, ignoring reasonably important information, accusing others unfairly, etc. She quotes Proverbs 18 verse 21 and says she wants to remember it, but apparently not while she is using her words while inappropriately addressing or responding to Candace, and not even properly addressing Candace's response to her in the video, as I pointed out earlier. She says in the Old Testament God took great care to make sure the accused was protected from false accusations, and that is true. And yet she is making accusations about Candace without apparently realizing it or caring. Or perhaps realizing it but feeling justified in doing so. She references 1 Corinthians 5 verse 11's reviler as someone who attempts to assassinate someone's character, based on what is not true, while she is trashing Candace's character unfairly. She uses Exodus 23 verse 1 forbidding spreading false reports, but is she not doing that when she accuses Candace of lying on people she has not lied on, when she said Candace said she did not care about Charlie when she said maybe? When she accused Candace of having no reliable or reasonable cause for her comments and claims about people she has been talking about? Is it fair to use insinuation as if it were actual stated fact, and then accuse Candace of using insinuation? Allie said that Candace implied that Mikey McCoy was happy about Charlie's death. There is another of those words again, implying. So why is it wrong for Candace to imply and insinuate, but Allie can imply and insinuate about her and it is okay? How does Allie determine how to properly apply implications and insinuations? She never tells us. I am not Candace, and I found Mike McCoy's reaction to the shooting strange. No indication of shock, fear, anger, or anything, just a calm turn and walk away. Why Allie does not see anything strange about that is strange to me. So am I accusing Allie of being involved? Am I insinuating that Allie is covering for Mike McCoy? When is a person's feeling about, or opinion about someone based on what their perceived actions or character is, permissible? Why is Allie insinuating that people cannot have bad vibes about other people? And why is Candace not permitted to have her opinions about people she does not like and state it? Candace is not a Christian, and yet I have seen many Christians accuse her of being crazy, sick, evil, deluded and a host of other things. But I don't see Allie rebuking them. What puts Mike under such protection from people's bad opinions about him? Again Allie used the words Candace implied something to do with Charlie's murder. Why is it not necessary for Candace to say directly that a person was involved with the murder, before Allie and others accuse her of saying so? Is that biblical? Please show me the Bible verse that allows us to imply and insinuate someone's sin or wrong. Allie said that the text that Candace made public exposing Charlie's feelings about Ben Shapiro, who was trying to stop TPUSA, made Charlie look bad and not Ben. This is to me clear evidence that Allie is not as biblical as she wants us to believe she is on this. She gave no context about what those texts were about but just glossed over the matter as if nothing about them incriminated Ben. Why? and she unjustly stated that Candace made her friend Charlie Kirk look bad and petty by them. I saw nothing about them that made Charlie look bad. It was a reasonable response to Ben's efforts to sabotage TPUSA. So Allie is clearly biased and deviously trying to smear Candace here. Amazing. The Wall Street Journal seems to think that Allie is emerging as an heir apparent to Charlie Kirk. Is that cause for us to accuse Allie of seeking to take Charlie's place? Why not, if she is willing to misrepresent Candace and others who support her concerns about Charlie Kirk's assassination? You see where this kind of messaging leads? Anybody can make anybody else guilty of anything. Since Allie is clearly friends with the people at TPUSA that Candace is bringing attention to, and she has a clear attachment to TPUSA as a speaker, is it wrong or irrational to suggest the possibility that she is biased against Candace in favor of her close relationship with TPUSA targets of Candace? And if so, could it be why she is unwilling to see what Candace is seeing? Other Christians such as Jason Witt and Chad O. Jackson have praised this Allie video response to Candace with no criticism at all, and I find that concerning. If we are going to ignore the wrong, unfair, and inaccurate comments that our friends and people we like and or admire make, then how can we claim that we are being biblical in our actions? A major part of the confusion that permeates our society today is due to the role that Christians, who are supposed to be lights, are playing in helping to perpetuate lies, error, wrong and inaccuracies. If we don't take our obligation and accountability before God seriously, how can we expect others to? Here are some additional Bible verses I would suggest that Allie should add to her lesson. Lay hands suddenly on no man, neither be partaker of other men's sins, keep thyself pure. 1 Timothy 5 verse 22. If ye know that he is righteous, ye know that every one that does righteousness is born of him. 1 John 2 verse 29. Wherefore putting away lying, speak every man truth with his neighbor. Ephesians 4 verse 25. Lie not one to another, seeing that you have put off the old man with his deeds. Colossians 3 verse 9. Therefore, any one of you who judges is without excuse. For when you judge another, you condemn yourself, since you, the judge, do the same things. We know that God's judgment on those who do such things is based on the truth. Do you really think any one of you who judges those who do such things yet do the same that you will escape God's judgment? Or do you despise the riches of his kindness, restraint, and patience, not recognizing that God's kindness is intended to lead you to repentance? HCSB, Romans 2 verses 1-4. Exodus 23 verse 1. You shall not spread a false report. Do not join the wicked by being a malicious witness. Verse 7 CSB, stay far away from a false accusation. CEV, don't bring false charges against anyone. NIV, Leviticus 19 verse 16. Do not go about spreading slander among your people. Deuteronomy 5 verse 20. Neither shalt thou bear false witness against thy neighbor. Proverbs 12 verse 17 CSB, whoever speaks the truth declares what is right, but a false witness speaks deceit. Proverbs 14 verse 5. A faithful witness will not lie, but a false witness will utter lies. Proverbs 19 verse 5. A false witness shall not be unpunished, and he that speaks lies shall not escape. What did Jesus say in Matthew 15 verse 19? Out of the heart proceed false witness. Romans 13 verse 9. Thou shalt not bear false witness. 1 Peter 2 verse 1. Rid yourselves of all slander. Ephesians 4 verse 31. Get rid of all slander, along with every form of malice. For the record, I am not a Catholic, I am a Bible-believing Christian. And I believe that we as Christians will also have to give an account of every idle word that we speak. Matthew chapter 12 verse 36. It is my prayer that this reply will be received, not as a rebuke or attack, but a reminder of the high standard that God has called us as believers to, and of the accountability that we will all face when we stand before our God. Romans 14 verse 12, so then every one of us shall give account of himself to God. 2 Corinthians 5 verse 10, for we must all appear before the judgment seat of Christ, that every one may receive the things done in his body, according to that he hath done, whether it be good or bad.